Good evening, everybody. I am Dr. Stephanie, your double board certified critical care physician who works with physicians that are struggling with their jobs, burnt out with their careers, or who just want some career advice. Through my books, webinars, coaching, and speaking, I help physicians discover alternative jobs and careers in medicine so that they can practice medicine on their own terms. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. And tonight, this is a special Facebook Live for me, because we are going to have a series of discussions about women in medicine. And this is to celebrate National Women Physicians Day, which is on Saturday, February the 3rd this year. So before we get started, I want to ask you guys to do me a favor. If you're viewing me live, just kind of put a comment in the comment section to kind of show me some love. Tell me hey and where you're watching me from. If you are watching this on replay, type replay. If you like a comment, type the like button. If you love the comment, type the love button. Hit the love button for me, because I really kind of want to see what resonates with everybody. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, National Women Physicians Day is on Saturday, February the 3rd. And this day commemorates the birthday of the first woman doctor in the United States of America, Dr. Elizabeth Blackwell. And National Women Physicians Day was first celebrated in 2016. But like I said, this February the 3rd is the birthday of Dr. Elizabeth Blackwell, and she was the first woman physician in the United States of America. And just a little bit of background about Dr. Blackwell. She was born in 1821 in Bristol, England, and she obtained her medical degree. Obtained her medical degree from Geneva Medical College in 1849, and she then went on to found the New York Infirmary for Women and Children. So we are basically celebrating Dr. Elizabeth Blackwell for being a groundbreaker for women in medicine. And let me see who just joined me. It is Dr. Ohuduga in Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you so much for joining me. Please feel free to comment. I want this to be an interactive presentation. Now, the first African American, the first Black woman physician in the United States of America was Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler, and she was born on February 8th, 1831. So February seems to be a month in which some really fabulous people were born who were some trailblazers in medicine. Dr. Crumpler was born in 1831, and she graduated from the New England Female Medical College in 1864. So Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler was the first Black woman physician in the U.S., and Dr. Elizabeth Blackwell was the first woman physician in the U.S. And Shelly Stevens says hi. So hi, Shelly, how are you? Now, let's talk about a couple of things with women in medicine. There have been a lot of changes, a lot of breakthroughs with women in medicine, but there are a lot of issues that we women face in medicine. So a couple of the good things pertaining to women in medicine. As of 2016, women make up nearly 50% of all medical school enrollees, and that is wonderful because, of course, women add a lot of, diversity to the field of medicine. We have our own experiences. And so we are a very valuable force in the field of medicine. Dr. Ohaduga says they were born in February, LOL. So, hey, February babies are doing their thing. Almost half of all medical residents are women physicians. And as of 2010, about 1/3 of the physician workforce is made up of women. So we're going to talk about a little later why the drop off. If you have 50% of women in making up all medical school enrollees, 50% of women making up all medical residents, and then that number drops to 33% in terms of women physicians in the workforce, we kind of need to figure out where that stop off happens. Now, we all know that women make superior physicians, and we make excellent doctors, and there's data to back up our claims. Recently, there was a study that demonstrated that women physicians have lower mortality rates in their patients, decreased rates of hospital readmissions, decreased rates of complication, and some of the reasons being that women physicians tend to take more time talking to their patients, listening to their patients, educating their patients, focusing on socioeconomic issues, starts focusing on prevention and things of that nature. This was the first year that women med school first year matriculates outnumbered men. Oh, thank you for sharing that. So that's going to be interesting to see, Dr. Ohaduga, how that trend continues to translate in terms of the shifting demographics in terms of women in the medical workforce. But like I was saying, data does show that women make excellent physicians. And I think one of the reasons, and we'll talk about this later, that a lot of women suffer from burnout is because of the extra time that women spend with their patients and with, doing the sometimes extra work that it involves in caring for patients. Okay, thank you for listing that in the comments from the AAMC. Women outnumber men in 2017. Entering medical school. Thank you for sharing that. I'll have to look at that. Now, so we've talked about women make it up roughly 50% of all medical students. And now, thank you, Dr. Ohaduga, for telling us that as of 2017, entering medical school class women outnumber men. Women make up around 50% of the resident physicians. Women make up about 30% of the physician workforce, and women have pretty darn good outcomes, slightly superior to male physicians in terms of mortality rates, decreased risk of hospital readmission. So that's the good. Now let's talk about the bad. Women physicians make less money than male physicians do. And when you adjust for specialty, hours worked, and years of experience, women make about 30% less than their male counterparts. And for Black women, it's even more. So that is a huge income discrepancy that really can only be attributed to discrimination in the workplace. And we'll talk about more of these issues later. For those of us women physicians, we can tell you that we are treated with less respect than our male colleagues. I mean, we share war stories every single day. And in fact, there is data to document our claims. So we're not just being overly sensitive when we feel that we have been disrespected or slighted. A study by Dr. Julia Files showed that women physicians are called doctor less often than their male counterparts. And as a matter of fact, when a man is introducing another male physician, he refers to that physician as doctor 73% of the time. However, when a man is introducing a woman physician, he only introduces her or refers to her as doctor 50% of the time. So her study did show that women doctors are addressed as doctors less often than male doctors are. So many people call us by our first names, other doctors in professional settings, nurses in front of patients, and often patients. So why does that matter? Because names matter and titles matter. And if women are viewed as being less professional because we are being called by our first names when our male colleagues are being called by their titles, that seems to reinforce the notion that women's careers are not as important, that the accomplishments are as important, and it leads to career dissatisfaction and burnout. So it's very important to recognize these biases when it comes to dealing with women and women in the workforce. Studies show that 30% of all women physicians have experienced sexual harassment on the job. Once again, I am one of these women. I have talked to numerous women who have experienced this kind of thing, and it is something that needs to be addressed and needs to be dealt with. So far we've talked about, the strides that women have made in medicine. We've talked about some challenges in terms of, pay inequality and being subjected to less respect than our male colleagues. Now let's talk about the downright ugly. And there have been numerous discussions about this. Women physicians experience burnout more often than men physicians. And I believe that it's this rate of burnout that is responsible for the fact that you have medical school classes that are made up of 50% or more of women. You have medical residencies being made up of women. So women are comprising a huge amount of the resident physician workforce, but then that 50% drops down to 30% throughout the course of a woman's career. So 20% of women physicians are kind of opting out of medicine, and that's a huge problem. And I think one of the reasons is because women physicians experience burnout more often than men physicians do. In addition to that, women physicians have higher rates of suicide and depression than the general population. And some studies suggest that women physicians are 2.5 to 4 times more likely to suffer from depression and even commit suicide than the general population. So not only are women burning out of medicine, they are suffering some real consequences as a result of this burnout. And we've got to do something about that for obvious reasons. Some of the reasons that women physicians are burnt out: difficulty balancing work life. That's huge. You know, the demands of being a physician and then the demands of being a wife and being a mother. And oftentimes women physicians will tell you that they leave one job to go to another job, so they have 2 full-time jobs. You know, they're working with as a physician 8, 10, 12 hours a day. They're leaving that job and going home and doing mommy duty, and the demands never stop. So it's one of this inability to really kind of mesh the two that are causing women to burn out. And this is a huge problem. Not, you know, in terms of the medical community and the medical workforce, but I think it's a public health issue as well too, because you already have a physician shortage. You know, you have a shortage of residency trained physicians in the United States of America, and then you're looking at, you know, half of the residency trained physicians, which are women in the United States of America, being at a higher rate and risk of burnout and subsequently leaving the profession. And that is a problem. And we maybe can kick around some ideas of what we can do to help this, or maybe what we can do to help prevent this amongst ourselves and other physicians. So like I said, what can be done? And I would just like for those of you, you know, who are watching this to kind of kick around some ideas, and please feel free to share these in the comments about, you know, what can be done about some of these issues that are impacting women and women in medicine. So I would like to take a couple of seconds just to listen. Just to look at our comments and see what our participants you know, have to say about this, you know, thoughts and comments and concerns about the state of women in medicine today, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll take a couple of minutes. But meanwhile, while we're doing this, I would like for everybody to sign up to get messages directly from me to their messenger inbox at this link right here. And also, before we go, I would like to make sure that all of you download your free copy of my locums ebook, which is at this link right here, bit.ly, Dr. Stephanie Locums ebook. So, like I said, you know, this talk, this Facebook Live, was just a brief discussion about women in medicine, and this was in celebration for National Women's Physicians Day. And Shelly Stevens says you are doing a great job getting the info out, and thank you so much, Shelly. I really appreciate your support and everything that you do. And I'm not going to hold you guys. I do want to let you know that I will be here tomorrow at the same time for part 2 of our lecture series, and I will have something special to offer you. So make sure you come back at the same time in the same place. I hope you enjoyed this, and remember to show a woman doctor some love on Saturday, February 3rd, 2018, as we celebrate National Women Physicians Day. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a good evening and goodbye.